I'm 84 years old, and there's one sentence I said in anger that still sits in my chest like it never finished echoing. I don't think it ever will. I'm not telling this to feel better. I'm telling it because I don't have much time left, and I don't want this story to disappear with me. Most days now are quiet. Too quiet. The house makes sounds that feel louder than they should. Pipes ticking, wood settling, the hum of the fridge. I sit in the same chair by the window every morning. I watch people I don't know walk past, carrying groceries, holding hands, arguing softly. They're all still inside their lives. I'm mostly looking at mine from the outside now. I don't wake up thinking about that sentence, but it always finds me. Sometimes in the afternoon, sometimes when I try to sleep. It's strange how a single line, just a few words, can follow you longer than entire decades. I used to believe words were small things. You said them, they passed, life moved on. That's what I told myself back then. I didn't know some words stay. I met my wife when I was 26. Her name was Margaret, but everyone called her Maggie except me. I never liked shortening her name. It felt like cutting something that didn't need to be cut. We met in a place that doesn't exist anymore. A small grocery store near the bus station. I was buying bread and coffee. She dropped a jar of jam and cried like it was her own fault the world had broken. I helped her clean it up. We talked for 10 minutes. That was it. 10 minutes that somehow turned into 46 years. We weren't special people. We didn't travel much. We didn't have big stories. We worked. We paid bills. We raised 2 kids. We argued about dishes and money and whose turn it was to call whose mother. Life felt long then. It felt like it would just keep going. I worked at a manufacturing plant. Long shifts, loud machines. The kind of work that stays in your shoulders even when you're lying down. I was proud of it, not because it was glamorous, but because it was steady. It meant food on the table, shoes on our kids' feet. Maggie stayed home when the kids were small. Later she worked part-time at a library. She liked being around quiet things. She said books didn't rush you. I rushed a lot. I thought that was what being responsible looked like. Always moving. Always tired, always telling myself I'd slow down later. I missed more dinners than I can count. Missed school plays, missed random little moments that didn't seem important at the time. Maggie used to say, "They only do this once." And I'd say, "I know, next time." There were always next times back then. We didn't fight often, but when we did, it was usually about time. My time, how I used it, who got what was left of it. I didn't think I was choosing work over her. I thought I was choosing all of us. That's the story I told myself. But stories can lie. The kids grew. One left for college. The other moved across the state. The house got quieter, but I didn't. I filled the quiet with more work, more projects, more reasons to not sit still. Maggie started having headaches, small ones at first, then longer ones, then days where light bothered her. I told her to see a doctor. She said she would. She didn't like making a fuss. I didn't push. I should have. One evening, she asked me to come sit with her on the porch. The sun was going down, the kind of soft orange light that makes everything look kinder than it is. I said, "In a minute. Let me finish this." And she waited. I didn't come. She went inside by herself. That was how things started happening. Quietly. One small miss at a time. The sentence came 2 years later. By then, Maggie wasn't herself anymore. She forgot things. She repeated stories. She moved slower. Doctors used words I didn't like hearing. Words that felt heavy in my mouth. She needed help more often, with buttons, with stairs, with remembering which day it was. I helped. But I did it tired. I did it distracted. I did it like it was something added onto my life instead of something that was my life. One night, she asked me the same question 3 times in 10 minutes. About where the bills were. I snapped. I didn't yell. That's what makes it worse. I said it flat, sharp, like a door closing. I said, "Sometimes I wish you could just be normal again." The room went very still. She looked at me like she was trying to understand what I had just become. She said quietly, "I wish that too." D.I. Then she turned away. That was the sentence. It wasn't loud, it wasn't dramatic, but it landed, and it never moved. After that, something between us changed. Not all at once. Just enough to notice if you were paying attention. She talked less. She apologized more. For things that weren't her fault. For being slow. For forgetting. Every apology felt like a stone added to something I was already drowning in. I tried to be nicer. I really did. But niceness after cruelty feels thin. Like paper trying to cover a crack in the wall. A year later, she fell in the bathroom. Hit her head. She never fully came back after that. She still knew me. But sometimes she looked at me like she wasn't sure what version of me I was supposed to be. I sat by her bed every day at the care home. I held her hand. I talked about things we used to do. She listened, but I don't know how much stayed. One afternoon, she looked at me and said, "Did I do something wrong?" And queered. I said no. I said no over and over, but my voice didn't sound convincing, even to me. She died on a Thursday morning. It was raining. The kind of rain that doesn't make noise, just makes everything wet. I said I was sorry. I said it into her still face. I said it to a room that could not answer me back. Sorry is a strange word. It feels big until you need it to be enough. Then it feels very small. The kids came. They cried. They hugged me. They went back to their lives. I stayed. People think grief is loud, crying, breaking, falling apart. Sometimes it is. For me, it was quiet. It was making 2 cups of coffee and pouring one out. It was turning to say something and remembering there was no one there. It was hearing that sentence in my own voice, over and over. Years passed. I grew older, slower. The world moved faster without asking if I could keep up. The kids call. They visit when they can. They are good people. They don't know about the sentence. I never told them. I don't want that to be part of how they remember me, but it's part of how I remember myself. I used to think regret was about big failures, losing jobs, wasting money, making terrible choices. I know now it's often about small moments handled badly. A tone, a word, a look you didn't soften when you could have. You don't always feel the weight of those moments right away. They settle slowly. Like dust, you don't notice until everything is covered. There's no fixing it. Not really. You can apologize. You can change. But some things stay marked. Maggie never said she forgave me for that sentence. She never said she didn't. We just moved forward, each in our own way. But there was a space between us after that. Not big enough to point at. Just big enough to feel when it was quiet. I live in a smaller place now. Just 2 rooms. Easier to clean. Easier to manage. Sometimes I talk out loud. Not to anyone. Just to the room. Just to hear a voice that sounds like mine. I think about how many times Maggie asked for me and I said later. How many later never came. I think about how tired I was of being needed and how empty I am now that no one needs me like that. People don't warn you that you can miss being needed even when it once felt heavy. I don't hate myself. Not exactly. But I don't make excuses for myself anymore either. I was not a monster. but I was not as kind as I thought I was. That sentence showed me who I could be when I let frustration speak for me. And once you see that version of yourself, you can't unsee it. If you're listening to this and you still have someone who looks at you like Maggie used to look at me, I hope you understand something I didn't. You don't get endless chances to speak gently. You don't get unlimited rewrites. Most days feel ordinary while you're in them. They only become precious when they're gone. I used to believe love was proven by what you provide, by what you fix, by what you carry. Now, I think love is often shown in how you talk when you're tired, how you respond when someone needs more than you want to give. You don't have to be perfect. I never was. But you do have to be careful with your words. They travel further than you think. I wish I had told Maggie more often that she was enough as she was, even when she wasn't the version of herself she wanted to be. I wish I had sat on that porch. I wish I had chosen quiet moments over finished tasks more often. But wishes don't move time. They just sit with you. Some nights, I dream she's standing in the kitchen, asking me where something is. In the dream, I answer kindly, patiently, like I always should have. Then I wake up, and the room is quiet again. I don't know how I'll be remembered. Maybe as a decent man, maybe as a hard worker, maybe just as someone's father or grandfather. But I know how I remember myself. And that memory includes a sentence I can't take back. If this story feels heavy, that's because it is. Life is heavy. It just doesn't always feel that way until you're near the end of it. I'm not asking you to change your life. I wouldn't know how to tell you what that even means. I'm just telling you what happened to me. I thought there would always be more time to say things better. There wasn't. I thought love would understand my bad days. It did, but it still felt them. I thought being right mattered more than being kind. I was wrong about that. Now when I speak slowly. I think before I answer. Not because I'm wise, but because I'm afraid of leaving another sentence behind me. There won't be many more years. I can feel that. My body reminds me every morning. I don't know what comes next. I only know what came before and what I carry with me. If you take anything from this, let it be simple. Say the kinder thing when you can. Sit when someone asks you to sit. And don't assume there will be a better moment later. Sometimes later never comes. I'm 84 years old. I live quietly. I remember loudly. And there is one sentence I would give anything to erase. But all I can do now is tell you about it, and hope you never have to carry one like it.